Hello everyone, I welcome you back to our virtual learning platform students. Today we all are going to study English, and in English we are going to deal with chapter number 3. Before going ahead, let us have some general discussion on this of what this chapter is about to offer us. So we all have been through many stages of our life, that is from birth to the adolescence stage which you are now going through. While crossing the stages, you all have felt the pressurization of parents, yes, their advice given to you, probably when you are not following the right path, their strictness, their stern nature, yes, everything is being seen through all of us during our days. Clear, children? So, why does this particular behavior comes from a parent? What is the importance or eminence of that particular behavior is the subject which we are going to see in this chapter. Clear? So, the behavioral pattern of a parent is being studied through this coming chapter, students. So, let us go ahead and see the chapter's name. So, this slide shows us the chapter's name, that is The Little Girl. This entire story is based on a small girl named Hezi. How she deals with her emotions, how she sees her father as a figure, a strict, a stern figure. How does she cope up with all the situation as a small girl, and how she comes back and realizes that this particular nature of her father was only for her good or her well-being. Yes. So let us slide ahead to enhance into the details of this chapter. Let us go ahead. So, who has penned down this lesson about the author? Catherine Mansfield. She is the lady behind the penning of this particular beautiful lesson. Catherine Mansfield was born Kathleen Mansfield Beauchamp in Wellington in New Zealand on October 14th, 1888. Innovative, accessible, and psychologically acute. These are her characteristics. Innovative, creative, accessible. She could reach to everyone through her lessons, short stories, and psychologically acute. She was very sensitive towards things. Mansfield's numerous short stories pioneered the genre's shape in the 20th century. So, as she had this characteristics, that particular characteristics was being seen while reading her short stories as well. Her fiction, poetry, journals, and letters cover an array of subjects, the difficulties and the ambivalencies of families and sexuality, the fragility and vulnerability of relationships, the complexities and insensitivities of the rising middle classes, the social consequences of war, and overwhelmingly the attempt to extract whatever beauty and vitality one can from mundane and increasingly difficult experience. So, her fiction, whatever she wrote, be the fiction, the poetry, the journals, or the letters, this all covers this all, transactions which I read, this all transactions are being included in the genre she writes, be fiction, poetry, journals, or letters. The transactions that have been carried inside this subject, the difficulties and ambivalencies of families and sexuality, they treating the boys and girls as equal. Yes, she actually fought for that through her stories. Every boy and every girl should be treated equal, and no male is higher in any case of female. The fragility and vulnerability of relationships. Fragility, how fragile. If the mirror breaks, it cannot be, subducted once again to the same condition as it was before. It cannot be put together. Correct? So how fragile, how smooth the relationships are, and how important is it in the life, it has been shown through her writings. The complexities and insensitivities of the rising middle classes. Complexities, again, seeing a woman as powerless, or a woman cannot go out, she could not achieve, the society would not accept this, all things, the complexities and insensitivities is not being sensitive, especially in the middle class families, because uh, the behavior of the people who belong to the middle class families was way different from the other class, because the middle class achieve to get a good name in the society. Clear? The social consequences of war. Social consequences is same. If there is a fight between two religion, what will be the consequences of that particular social war? Obviously it is not going to be good, and that will, lead to the physical form of war. The social consequences of war, and overwhelmingly the attempt to extract whatever beauty and vitality one can from mundane and increasingly difficult experience. Now, how one can make the difficult situation into an opportunity situation. Clear? Whatever challenges we are facing in life, students, we are not going to break ourselves or let ourselves down in front of the challenges. Instead of that, we are going to overwhelmingly, we are going to happily attempt towards the problem, towards the challenge, and extract whatever beauty. Challenges even has beauty, children. Only we have to be the opportunist to see the positive things in that challenge. We have to be optimistic. Whatever beauty and vitality is importance of that particular challenge that has been thrown upon you by God. And vitality one can from mundane and increasingly difficult situation. Yes, the things that you get to learn while you experience your challenging situation. So this all aspects were covered while she wrote all of her journals. Educated in Wellington and London, Mansfield left New Zealand for England at the age of 19 to begin a career as an author. Much of Mansfield's early work is in the form of sketch, in which a segment of life is described, highly popular in journals of the time. So earlier she introduced herself by sketching. Her first collection in a German pension in 1911. That is the first collection. Consists primarily of sketches satirically presenting Germans. Satire is a way to make fun. Yes, satirically presenting Germans from the point of view of a quiet, observant young English woman. So the sketch which she first drew, that is the German pension, she satirically drew these sketches in order to, pose the German, how they looked to the other people, how the actions which they, conducted, how they behaved in front of everyone. Their particular action was been sketched at that time by Catherine Mansfield, but it was a satire, it was a pun poking thing towards the German people at that time. Clear? So let us go ahead with the chapter, students. So starting with the first paragraph of this lesson. To the little girl, he was a figure to be feared and avoided. You can see the starting line of the lesson itself. It is telling the little girl has been introduced, where it has been shown that he was a figure, the father was a figure to be feared. She was very afraid of, as she is small, and to be avoided. She is not, comfortable of being with her father. Every morning before going to work, he came into her room and gave her a casual kiss, to which she responded with, "Goodbye, father." So before going to work, he used to come to her room and gave her a gentle kiss, to which she said back, "Goodbye, father." And oh, there was a glad sense of relief when she heard the noise of the carriage growing fainter and fainter down the long road. How she is expressing? She was very, very happy and relieved after she hears the noise of the carriage. Carriage is the, system, the driving system through which the father travels to work. So while that particular carriage has been carried slowly further and the noise gets fainter and fainter, that is lesser and lesser, she feels a glad sense of relief because she is not comfortable with her father. In the evening, when he came home, she stood near the staircase and heard his loud voice in the hall. So after work, when he comes back, this small little girl, she used to stand near the staircase and she always used to hear the loud voice of her father from the hall. What the loud voice was about? "Bring my tea into the drawing room. Hasn't the paper come yet? Mother, go and see if my papers are out there and bring me my slippers." So when the father is back, he is passing on orders to bring tea to the drawing room and he is asking whether the papers have yet come or not. So Kezia. Kezia is the name of the little girl. Kezia. Mother would call to her. Mother, she calls when dad comes. The mother would call up, "Kezia, if you are a good girl, you can come down and take off father's boots." Slowly, the girl would slip down the stairs. Slip down is coming very, very slowly because she is afraid of her father. Slip down the stairs more slowly, still across the hall, and push open the drawing room door. But that time He had his spectacles on and looked at her over them in a way that was terrifying to the little girl. So when she slowly came down and when she pushed opened to go into the drawing room, her father, who was wearing the spectacles, looked to her in such a way that it was terrifying to the little girl. She felt that her father is looking in a very stern manner. Well, Kezia, hurry up and pull off these boots and take them outside. Have you been a good girl today? Yes, now the father is speaking with the girl. He is asking, have you been a good girl today? I don't know, father. You don't know? If you stutter, that is if you stammer like that, mother will have to take you to the doctor. Now the father is telling, if you stammer, if you stutter like this, mother has to take you to the doctor. Let us go ahead with the third paragraph. So in the last slide, we just saw how Casey was very afraid of her father, that whatever she spoke, it actually shuttered. The words were shuttered. Let's see ahead. She never shuttered with other people, had quite given it up, but only with father, because then she was trying too hard to say the words properly. So her shuddering never happened when she spoke with the other people. It happened only when she was communicating with her father. It is because of the fear that she had in her mind and heart for him. That is the reason the word, whenever she pronounced it, shattered. What's the matter? What are you looking so wretched about? Mother, I wish you taught this child not to appear on the brink of suicide. The father is telling his wife. So he's telling, what's the matter? What are you looking so wretched about? He's speaking to his wife. Why this small little girl Kezia, why she is looking so wretched about? Wretched is appearing very in a very torn state, where she is very, very afraid. The paleness has been seen through her face. Mother, I wish you taught this child not to appear on the brink of suicide. Brink of suicide? Like he is instructing his wife, teach Kezia not to appear in such state in front of him. Brink of suicide is just a word to relate to the situation. Here, Kezia, carry my teacup back to the table carefully. He was so big, his hands and neck, especially his mouth when he yawned. So what Kezia is telling, when Kezia was instructed to come and take the teacup back to the table carefully, when she saw him, her father was so big, and his hands and his neck, especially his mouth when he yawned. Thinking about him alone was like thinking about a giant. So this particular feeling was going through when Kezia faced her father. On Sunday afternoons, her grandmother sent her down to the drawing room to have a nice talk with father and mother. But the little girl always found mother reading and father stretched out on the sofa, his handkerchief on his face, his feet on one of the best cushions, sleeping soundly and snoring. When only a week or Sunday is been holiday to everyone, While the grandmother is very observant about Kezia, when she saw that she is facing difficulties to cope up with her father, she took an initiative of making Kezia talking to make her talk to her father. So she told Kezia to go down and have a nice talk with the father and the mother. But once the small girl, when she goes down, she sees the mother is reading and father is stretched out on the sofa, his handkerchief on his face, his feet on one of the best cushions, sleeping soundly and snoring. She sat on a stool, gravely watched him until he woke, and stretched and asked the time, then looked at her. Now Kezia was waiting for her father to wake up. She sat on the stool and she gravely watched him until he woke. And once he woke and he stretched, he asked the time. And after asking the time, he looked at her. He looked at Kezia. Don't start so, Kezia. You look like a little brown owl. After he woke up and when he saw Kezia staring at him, he told her, don't say so. The Kezia is looking like a brown owl. One day, when she was kept indoors with a cold, her grandmother told her that father's birthday was next week and suggested she should make him a pincushion for a gift out of a beautiful piece of yellow silk. Now, when Kezia was waiting to speak to her father, when she was sitting on the stool, when the father woke up, when he stretched his hands, in the state of waking up, and when he saw Kezia, he told Kezia, please don't stare at me like that. You are looking like a brown owl. So, one particular day when Kezia got cold, when she was indoors, she was with her grandmother. So, the grandmother told her, no, don't get upset. Your father's birthday is coming next week, and the grandmother suggested Kezia to make a pincushion, as we read in the earlier lines that father is, fond of best cushions. So she suggested Kezia to make a pincushion for a gift out of a beautiful piece of yellow silk. The pincushion was to be made out of yellow silk. So the grandmother's suggestion, Kezia will work upon or not, let us see in the coming slides. Now the grandmother has given Kezia a task of preparing a pincushion, a gift for her father's birthday. Now Kezia is on a working condition for that. Laboriously is very hardly, not sometimes, but in a very hard manner. Yeah. Laboriously, with a double cotton, the little girl stitched 3 sides. She is a small girl, right? Now, in a very hard manner, she is finding it difficult. But then too, she stitched all the 3 sides. But what to fill it with? That was the question. The grandmother was out in the garden and she wandered into mother's bedroom to look for scraps. So the grandmother was outside in the garden and Kezia went to the mother's bedroom to look for scraps. Scraps, the things that are not useful. On the bed table, she discovered a great many sheets of fine paper, gathered them up, tore them into tiny pieces and stuffed her case, then sewed up the fourth side. Now when she went into her mother's bedroom, she discovered many sheets of fine paper The paper's quality was very good. Without analyzing anything, the little girl, she took them, she gathered them up. Then she went to the area where she was sewing. Then she tore the fine papers into tiny pieces. Then stuffed her case, that is the cushion she was making, right? All the torn papers were put into it, into the case. Then she sewed up the fourth side. That night, there was a hue and cry in the house. Hue and cry. The father was very angry. He was shouting, he was yelling inside the house at that particular night. Father's great speech for the Port Authority has been lost. Rooms were searched, servants questioned. Finally, mother came into Kezia's room. Kezia, I suppose you didn't see some papers on a table in our room? Oh yes, she said. I tore them up for my surprise. What? Screamed mother. Come straight down to the dining room this instant. This instant is this moment. So this particular paragraph, it tells us how Kezia, she tore up the fine papers without knowing that it was the speech of her father that has to be given. The speech that has to be given for the Port Authority, and it has been torn by Kezia, but unknowingly. She was not knowing what was there in her paper. And that night, the father was searching for the paper and he was yelling. So everybody was questioned along with the servants. Then mother, she actually questioned Kezia that, Kezia, did you discover something in our room and you have taken it? For which Kezia replies, yes mother, I have taken it, I have torn it, and I have put it and used it for her surprise. For that, her mother, she screamed like in the surprise mode, what? And she is asking Kezia to come down to the dining room that very moment. And she was dragged down to where father was pacing to and fro. Now over here, she was dragged, she was taken to her father. Kezia was taken away to her father, where her father was pacing. Pacing is walking very fast to and fro. To and fro, to go in a particular direction and come back in the same direction. To and fro, hands behind his back. Well, he said sharply. Mother explained. He stopped and stared at the child. Did you do that? No, she whispered. Mother, go up to her room and fetch down the damn thing. See that the child's put to bed this instant. So when the father confronted Kezia, did you do that? She was so afraid. She got so feared that she again stammered, no, mother. So he instructed his wife, mother, go up to her room and fetch down the damned thing. Damned thing, the gift. He was not knowing that she has, sewed a pinned cushion. So without knowing that, he is telling, bring down that damned thing and see that the child's put to bed this instant. He is telling his wife, put the child to sleep, but bring down that thing for which she has used my speech paper. Let us go ahead to see where the story takes us. Crying too much to explain, she lay in the shadowed room watching the evening light make a sad little pattern on the floor. Crying too much to explain. Crying, she was not literally crying, but the little girl wanted to explain many things to her father and mother, but She was not allowed because her father had asked her mother to lay down her onto the bed on that particular time. So she was very eagerly to explain why did she do that. Trying too much to explain, she lay in the shadowed room. Shadowed room, it is night time and where the light has been switched off. So you can see shadows of the things kept. She lay in the shadowed room, watching the evening light make a sad little pattern on the floor. Now here, she is very sad, right? So she is seeing the light through that particular, um, thoughts, through that vision. The light does not have any quality of being positive or negative. It is the human feelings and his way of saying things that makes the things look positive or negative. So she was very sad, very gloomy. So that is the reason they have written, the evening light make a sad little pattern on the floor. Then father came into the room with a ruler in his hands. I'm going to beat you for this, he said. Oh, no, no, she screamed, hiding under the bedclothes, that is her bed sheet. He pulled them aside. Sit up, he ordered, and hold out your hands. So now the father is in the room. He took a scale, the ruler, to hit Casey. And she's so scared, she went into her bedsheet, but he pulled the bedsheets aside and he ordered, sit straight up and hold your hands out. Bring out your hands, he ordered. You must be taught once and for all not to touch what does not belong to you. He is ordering that now you have to be taught a lesson that the things which does not belong to you, that has not to be touched by you. But it was for your birthday. Down came the ruler on her little pink palms. You can, imagine the pain, children, right? She was not allowed to explain. While she was explaining, while she started explaining, she was actually hidden by the ruler, by her father, on her pink little palms. Hours later, when grandmother had wrapped her in a shawl and rocked her into the rocking chair, the child clung to her soft body. After this incident, after the father hit the child, long hours after that, the grandmother went to the room. She took Casey, she wrapped up Casey into a shawl and rocked her. Rocked her, while you sit in a rocking chair, it goes to and fro, right? So she kept Casey with her, close to her. The child clung to her soft body. The grandmother's body is very soft. She is very close to her grandmother. What did God make fathers for? She sobbed, the little child. She was so afraid. She did not understand what wrong that she did, and for her it was a very, happy moment because she was preparing something for her father, but she was not given the space to explain. So due to that particular hard feeling into her heart, while crying, she asks her grandmother, what did God make fathers for? She sobbed, she cried. Here's a clean hanky, darling. Blow your nose. The grandmother is telling that to Casey. Blow your nose. Go to sleep, pet. You will forget all about it in the morning. I tried to explain to father, but he was too upset to listen tonight. When the granny is telling, please keep quiet, you will forget everything in the morning. But even then, Casey, she was very upset. She again told that the father was very upset to listen tonight, even though she tried explaining him. But the child never forgot. Next time she saw him, she quickly put both hands back behind her back, and a red color flew into her cheeks. That is, she was already afraid of him. Now she has been hit by her father on her small pink palms, right? Due to that fear factor into her mind and heart, whenever she used to see her father after that incident, she used to put her hands behind, and due to the fear, her face's color, it changes into, the cheeks changes into red color. Let us see ahead, children. The McDonald's lived next door. That is the other family Casey is talking about. The McDonald's lived next door. They had 5 children. Looking through a gap in the fence, the little girl saw them playing tag in the evening. The father, with the baby Mao on his shoulders, 2 little girls hanging on it, his coat pockets, ran round and round the flower beds, shaking with laughter. You can imagine this particular situation. While Casey saw this, how alone and lone she must be feeling, because her father's behavior and attitude was opposite, was contrast of the McDonald's family. The father of the 5 children, he had a very different nature. Then it was, she decided they were different sorts of father. Now she is going through her father, she is taking his attitude, his bad temper. And when she saw the father of the other children, he was so cool, he was so calm, he used to play with them. So that particular thing made Casey decide that there are different sorts of father with different nature. Suddenly one day, mother became ill, and she and grandmother went to hospital. The little girl was left alone in the house with Alice the cook. That was all right in the daytime, but while Alice was putting her to bed, she grew suddenly afraid. So Casey's mother, she fell ill, and Casey's grandmother and Casey's mother went to the hospital, and the little girl Casey was left with Alice, who was the cook of the house. But Casey was okay with her during the daytime, but when Casey was been put to bed, she suddenly grew very afraid. What I'll do if I have a nightmare? She asked. Nightmare is a bad dream. She asked. Often have nightmares, and then Granny takes me into her bed. I can't stay in the dark. It all gets whispery. You just go to sleep, child, said Alice. So Alice is somehow trying to convince the little girl. She is asking her to forget everything and go to sleep. You just go to sleep, child, said Alice, pulling off her socks. And don't you scream and wake your poor pa. That is Casey's father. So Alice is telling, please do not scream and wake up your father. But the same old nightmare came. When Casey slept, the same old bad dream came. The butcher with a knife and a rope who came nearer and nearer, smiling that dreadful smile, while she could not move, could only stand still, crying out, "Grandma, Grandma." She woke shivering to see father beside her bed, a candle in his hand. "What's the matter?" he said. So the same old nightmare was seen by Casey. Yes. So here, even in her dream, she could only cry out for grandma. She is not calling out for her mother, not her father, because the loving figure which she got in her house was only her grandmother. So when she screamed and she woke up, she saw her father standing near her bed with a candle in his hand, and he is asking Casey, "What's the matter?" So when the father asked Casey, "What's the matter?" she was already afraid in her dreams, and now when she saw the father with the candle in his hands, she got more afraid. So she told, "Oh, a butcher, a knife. I want Granny." He blew out the candle, bent down, and caught up the child in his arms, carrying her along the passage to the big bedroom. Now, this is the gesture which was new to Casey from her father's end. He took the little girl to the big bedroom with him. A newspaper was on the bed. He put away the paper, then carefully tucked up the child. Tucked up the child, he put the child onto the bed after moving away the paper. He lay down beside her, half asleep still, still with the butcher's smile all about her. It seemed she crept close to him, snuggled her head under his arm, held tightly to his shirt. Then the dark did not matter. She lay still. "Here, rub your feet against my legs and get them warm," said father. Now she just suddenly got up from the dream. Yes, when she saw her father as well. After this incident, she told she wants a granny. So her father, her father, he actually took the child to his bedroom, and he gave her, the compassion of love while taking her, because never before he has took his child in his arms. So Casey at this time was half asleep, clear, but she was very feared about the nightmare. So she was into the dream. She still felt the butcher's smile, and it seemed that the butcher is still coming close to her. To come away from this fear, she crept close to her father, snuggled her head into his or under his arm, held tightly to his shirt. Then, after this, the dark did not matter, because now she is feeling secure with her father. Then, after doing this, the father told from his side, "Rub your feet against my legs, you will get warm." Tired out, he slept before the little girl. A funny feeling came over her. Poor father, not so big after all, and with no one to look after him. So, due to this incident, the father was very tired. He went to sleep before Casey. Now, the girl is very close to her father, and first time she has felt the love and warmth which she got. So she looked, upon her father, and she told, "Poor father, not so big," because earlier she has described that he looked like a giant. So now she is with him. He is telling he is not so big after all, and with no one to look after him. He was harder than grandmother, but it was a nice hardness. Hard is stiff because male's body are stiff. So she's telling that his hardness is nice. She's feeling good after being so close to her father. And every day he had to work and he was too tired to be a Mr. McDonald. Now she is actually understanding because her father, he works the entire day, and because he was very tired at the end of the day, he cannot be the Mr. McDonald, the person who stays besides Casey's house. She had torn up all his beautiful writing. She stirred suddenly and sighed. "What's the matter?" asked father. "Another dream?" "Oh," said the little girl, "my head's on your heart. I can hear it going. What a big heart you have got, father dear." So she is lying upon the chest of her father, and at that time the father woke up. So he's very concerned. What happened? Did you have another bad dream? So she told, "No, I'm hearing your heartbeats. Such a big heart you're having, dear father." Let us slide ahead. So the entire lesson gives us a picture that the parents are not really hard, they are not really strict the way they are being portrayed. Yes, this little girl, when she got the punishment along with the affection from her father, she understood that parents do not do things due to their wish or due to their tiredness. It's all only to protect their little children. So here Casey understood her father's situation, where even though he seemed a giant to her, she understood during the night time when she was close to her father that her father was really a gentleman, where he could not be compared to the McDonald, the neighbor of Casey. He has a very big heart through which he loves Casey a lot. This particular lesson was learned by Casey during the end of the chapter. So I hope students you have enjoyed this lesson thoroughly. How Casey started her journey being a very meek and weak child, and how gradually she got close to her father. Clear? So I hope you have enjoyed this session. Read the lesson, children. Keep revising. Until our next lecture, be safe, keep fit. Thank you.